I'm not going to do the video all quiet like that. No, I'm not going to. How's it going, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Texas Man back here with another video. I hope that you guys are all having a spectacular day. If you guys would, please give this video a thumbs up, of course, if you guys do enjoy it. Subscribe, of course, if you guys have not already. If you guys want, check me out on Twitch. I stream there at least once a week at Douglas447. And we're talking positives and negatives, talking about the most recent film released here in 2024 into theaters, A Quiet Place Day One. The film is rated PG-13. It's about 100 minutes long. I've already talked about part one and part two of A Quiet Place. I do have a Quiet Place playlist here on the channel. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, you guys can either go into the playlist area, or I will leave a link to that playlist here at the end of the video, and you guys can check out those videos there. I enjoyed part one and two of the franchise. I honestly was confused when I saw the trailers for this film because I figured that the next film would be part three, the continuation of the events from the first two films. When I saw the trailer for this film and it being a prequel to part one, and it have absolutely none of the main characters in it from the first two films, except for one character from part two that really didn't get all that much attention and screen time, I was just befuddled as to why. Why did we need to go back in time? Why is it that we keep getting franchises that go one, two, and instead of doing three, they go back and do zero? Okay? Part two also had a pretty cool scene in it. It was like the opening scene of part two. That's kind of the cool thing about part two, is not only was it a sequel to part one, but it was a prequel to part one. So we got that pretty cool prequel scene showing the alien invasion in part two. So we got to see how life was like before the alien invasion happened. We got to see the alien invasion happen, and then, it transitions to in the sequel time. Why did we need a full film exploring the day one origins of how life was like before the alien showed up, how the alien showed up, and the chaos that ensues after that? We already got that. Okay, we got that for like a 10-15 minute clip in part two. Why did we need a 100-minute film doing that again? Okay? Pointless. And that's the one thing I'm going to constantly say about this film in the future. Whether it's here in the video or, just talking to people, is this film was pointless. We get introduced to a new set of characters instead of following the characters from part one and two, the family and whatnot. We get all these new characters, and they're just boring. Now, the actors for the characters, I think, did a phenomenal job. I think they really nailed the roles for what was given to them to do. But what's given for them to do is boring, okay? I don't understand this. Like, the film tries to get you emotionally invested into this main character played by this wonderful actress. I don't remember her name, I'm sorry. But she is like the center of the film. We're watching what's happening to the world through her lens. And, she's this character, and she's got cancer. So she's got, the film states that she doesn't have that very long to live before the aliens even show up. She's got a couple days, if that. So, the film tries to get you emotionally connected to this person that's eventually very soon about to die from cancer. It also tries to get you emotionally invested into this cat named Frodo. No, I'm not joking. The cat's name is Frodo. So we have another Hobbit-like cat thingy that's going on this adventure. And instead of it being with elves, dwarves, goblins, and orcs, it's with an alien invasion happening with normal human beings. All right, Frodo, you're in for a ride. They introduced this character that's going to law school. They introduced this nurse. They introduced this character from part two. There's just a bunch of... They introduced these two kids, and they're in the film for like maybe 5 minutes, and I'm just like, really? If the film feels like a gigantic jumbled mess. Like, they had a bunch of different ideas for this film, and they just smashed it together, and none of it works. Nothing works. Characters are just constantly coming and going through the story, so you can't connect to anybody because you don't have enough time to get attached to know them. And the film was very go, 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 go mode. You don't get any time to breathe. You really don't get any time to enjoy and eat up the scenery of New York City. You don't really get to, you know, get connected to anything on screen. I mean, the CGI work, from what I can tell, looks great, but I'm like, everything's going, go, 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 and you don't have time to enjoy it. I also want to state the fact that I did see this in 4K and with Dolby Atmos. The audio design, mwah, wonderful, love it, excellent. Um, but I just, like I said, I didn't connect emotionally to any of the characters. Also, the film is very predictable, which also leads to its boring nature. By the end of the film, there's only two main characters really left. So you got this lawyer like guy, or this guy that wanted to become a lawyer, and then you've got this woman that's going to die from cancer. And so she makes this, sacrificial thing so the lawyer guy can get to a boat and get to safety. And I kind of figured that's how the film was going to end. I kind of felt like the woman character, the black woman character, was going to just, she's going to sacrifice herself or something. So the white lawyer guy could just, do whatever. And I'm not being racist. I'm just pointing out that in case you've seen the trailer or you've seen the poster, you know who I'm talking about. Because I honestly can't remember their names. I can't remember their character names. I saw this movie a few hours ago, and I can't tell you what their character names are. That's how, boring they were in terms of characters. So I'm not being racist. I'm just telling you who they were in the film. It was a very predictable ending. I figured how it was going to end, and it ended how I felt like it was going to end. So, yeah, it was a disappointment. Kind of an unnecessary film. I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play into A Quiet Place Part 3, if they ever do a Part 3, or they're just going to leave the franchise as is with how Part 2 ends and not have a real proper conclusion. Because Part 2 really sets up, this gigantic upcoming confrontation between humanity and the aliens, and I want to see that play out. I don't want this series to just die with this film, with Day One. By the way, why is it called A Quiet Place Day One? So the film starts off where the aliens haven't invaded yet. We get to see how they invade. So, that was kind of always something I was curious about. Like, did they pop out of the ground like in War of the Worlds? Or did they come from like Area 51 and they were some sort of experiment that got loose and just went into the world? Or were they an alien invasion force from outer space? So we do get that answer. But then, we get normal civilization in New York City. The alien invasion happens, but then it does this 25 day later thing, and so we don't get to see the characters actually have to learn the rules of survival, which is to be quiet, and that, if you're around really loud noises like a generator or rushing water, then you can actually talk a little bit more sound wise, and the aliens cannot hear you. Also, the film just tells you that they're afraid of water, they can't swim, it'll drown them. So everything that the first two films set out to do and establish in terms of world building and the monster's weaknesses and such, that's all just told to us again here in this film. We don't get to see the human characters learn about it. It's just told to them because there's been this time gap, and I wanted this film to be like, okay, it takes place on Day One and Day One only, but it does the Day One alien invasion thing, and then it moves forward in time, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I came here to see Quiet Place Day One, not Quiet Place Day 26. Why? Why do we need this? So, the series seems to be following the exact same problems as Cloverfield. What I mean by that is the first Cloverfield was part one with the alien invasion and the suspense, the mystery, and the thriller elements. The second film was an actual continuation of that story. Different characters, yes, but it continued to be the same story and to be a sequel within that Cloverfield franchise. Cloverfield Paradox is kind of what this film is, Quiet Place Day One, where instead of it being a continuation of the first two films, it goes and back in time and it's a prequel and it shows you the beginning part of the alien invasion in the Cloverfield franchise and how that all came to be. That's how this film kind of feels in terms of, this film being A Quiet Place Day One. It feels similar to Cloverfield Paradox in that respect. And I want A Quiet Place Part 3. I want it to wrap up the trilogy. I'm curious to see how this film, A Quiet Place Day One's going to fit into that, if at all, or is this going to be just a film in the franchise that's, you watch once to see how it was, and it's just forget and move on. And that's my concern, is that even though it's tied to a very popular modern day franchise that's been around for, I think a decade or so now, I'm worried that this film's going to just get, lost into the back of people's minds. And, if and when A Quiet Place Part 3 gets announced, people are going to be like, oh, there was a prequel? I didn't know that. Because, yeah. It's an okay film. I would not spend full price to go see it. If you can see it for a matinee, go ahead and do so. But I think, honestly, there's going to be some better films that are coming out right around the corner, whether that's Despicable Me 4, which I plan to review, along with Deadpool 3 / Deadpool and Wolverine. I think those films are probably gonna make A Quiet Place Day One just get dissolved into absolute silence. And it's kind of sad to see this franchise go from, being something unique and interesting. The first two films were horror movies with an alien invasion like theme tied into it. This film does a complete 360. Instead of it being a horror movie with an alien invasion theme mixed in, now we have an alien invasion film with horror elements into it. And I that's just very generic and boring, predictable, and I've seen that 100 times, and I don't care to see that again. I think that's what made the first two Quiet Place films so special and unique. So, with that, I'm going to give A Quiet Place Day One here from 2024 a 6 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have an excellent day, and I'll see you guys in the next video and or stream over on Twitch at Douglas447. Have an excellent day, guys. Bye, guys.